To do a quick live here tonight about eating and blood sugar. How do you eat to manage your blood sugar? This is a big question that everybody asks me, and tonight I'm going to go over it in a little bit of detail. So, really, there are only 5 ways for you to manage blood sugar. The first one is eating, which we're going to cover tonight. The second one is exercise, sleep, stress management, and then supplements and either that or drugs, prescription drugs from your doctor. But today I want to go over eating and what the best practices are for managing your blood sugar with regard to the food that you eat. And this is a very important topic. I think out of the 5 different ways that you can manage your blood sugar, the food portion of this probably has the most significant impact. So it's really one of the most effective things that you can do to manage your blood sugar is to get a grip on your diet. So we're going to cover that tonight. We're going to answer any questions that you might have about it as well too. If my voice is giving out, I'm still getting over a little bit of a cold, so you'll have to bear with me. So one of the first things that I realized when I started on this journey about a year and a half ago of trying to manage my blood sugar, I have type 2 diabetes in my family and I'm really trying to prevent it myself. And I got a continuous glucose monitor to monitor my blood sugar. So this is on 24 hours a day, and it tells me exactly what's going on with my blood sugar at any given time. So when I eat something like I do in my tests, it will show me the blood sugar spike, and I know exactly what that food has done to my blood sugar. And it's on 24/7. So that's the good part about it. So what I've learned over this, doing research and also practically, and I think it's really important to understand that what may be true with certain scientific studies and information online may be working for some people, but it may not work for you specifically. Thank you, Lee, for the flower. And that's really important to note because not everybody has the same genetic makeup, not everybody is in the same shape metabolically. There are over 50 factors that contribute to your blood sugar and blood sugar management. So it's important to check for yourself if you are, especially if you're diabetic, it's important to check for yourself what the food is doing to your blood sugar. So, but we're going to go into the generals of it today, just the general idea of what we should be doing to manage our blood sugar. And the biggest thing that you can do with regard to food is to reduce your consumption of highly refined carbohydrates. This is cakes, cookies, chocolate, candies, anything that's high in sugar and highly refined. Thanks, Elizabeth. And that is a task in itself because these foods are really, really tasty. They're hyper palatable. They're made to get you to buy them again. So they're highly addictive. Thank you, Harvey. But we're going to get into how to curb that appetite for sweets and how to curb your sweet tooth as well too. So reducing those highly refined carbohydrates is the biggest thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is to increase your consumption while you're bringing these carbohydrates down, increase your consumption of whole foods and particularly high fiber whole foods because the fiber does a lot to help manage your blood sugar. And it also helps to make you feel full for longer periods of time, which is what you want. We want to feel full, so we're eating less and we feel more satiated throughout the day. That's an important factor here. So whole foods like above ground vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, things like that, these are all very good for your blood sugar and they keep you full longer. And these whole foods are also loaded with micronutrients. These are vitamins, minerals that are so essential for your body to run properly. Oftentimes when we're eating a highly processed diet of only highly processed foods, not only are we not getting the amount of fiber that we should be getting, but we're not getting the amount of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and your body can't function properly without those. And believe it or not, that has a huge impact on the way you feel, and it can also affect your blood sugar levels as well. Excuse me, guys. Still getting over a cold here. So reduce the highly refined carbohydrates, increase whole foods. Now, this is challenging for a lot of people because if you're like me, when I started this process, I was probably eating 80% highly refined processed foods and a lot of carbohydrates, and about 20% of that was likely just whole foods. So now I've balanced it out a little bit more. I'm probably at 60% whole foods and 40% of the highly refined foods. And it's very difficult to give these up entirely. But the idea is to move it in the right direction. So I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to do that as well here, if my voice doesn't give out first. So when you're choosing food, it's important, or when you're choosing a meal, the first meal of the day has the most significance for you for the rest of the day, and it does a number of things. It sets you up, it sets up your hormonal system for the rest of the day too. So if you're spiking your blood sugar and in turn spiking your insulin levels first thing in the morning for your first meal, that affects your hunger cravings and your sugar cravings for the rest of the day. So you want to get that first meal of the day right. And the way you do that is you try to not have any sugar, no sweets, have a high protein meal between 30 to 40 grams of protein. That might be 3 eggs or more. That might be some meat. That might be some Greek yogurt. That is your foundation. You want to prioritize protein, and you want to prioritize that because it can help you to feel satiated for the rest of the day. That's setting you up for feeling energetic and feeling satiated for the rest of the day, and you're less likely to crave the junk food that you normally would. So prioritize protein. And secondly, you want to try to get something that is high in fiber for that first meal. That combination of protein and fiber goes a long way in keeping you feeling great, keeping you feeling full, and reducing sugar cravings for the rest of the day. And that combination of foods is very easy on the blood sugar as well too. You're not going to spike your blood sugar with a high protein and high fiber meal first thing in the morning. So I think that is the key. If you want to try that out, I would suggest just trying that for a week. Try it out for a week. High protein, 30 to 40 grams of protein, and high fiber. Now, for the fiber, it's good. Breads and things like that are not a good idea. Most of the bread that you find is highly refined. I think the best bread for me is Ezekiel bread because it's whole grain bread and it's sprouted grains. And one thing to keep in mind with everything is the quantity of food that you're eating. The Ezekiel bread, thank you very much for that. The Ezekiel bread is the pieces of bread, the slices of bread are actually very small. And that's another thing that you want to pay attention to as well, is the quantity of food that you're eating. The quantity has a big impact on your blood sugar spikes as well too. So having that high fiber in the morning, I choose something like, thank you so much for all of the gifts, guys. And choose something like an apple, and I did this on my page. I did an apple, a medium-sized apple, and 3 hard-boiled eggs. And that was a great breakfast, and it was easy to prepare. I could bring it with me on the go, no problem. That type of breakfast with high protein, high fiber can set you up for a successful day of eating for the rest of the day. And that's really the key, is to get that first meal right. That's going to really help you with the sugar cravings as well. So let's answer any questions about that you guys might have. What does fried chicken do? So here's another thing about food in your food intake. What you want to pay attention to is caloric density. So a lot of these highly refined foods like fried chicken, chicken is a whole food, but when you bread it and you deep fry it, you're introducing a lot more calories, and these are refined calories. These are calories from the breading and high calories from that oil that has been deep fried in. And that brings the caloric density of that chicken up to a very high rate, which you do not want to do. You want whole foods that are unadulterated. They're not processed and deep fried and breaded and all of that stuff. You want stuff in its whole form, like hard-boiled eggs, or if it's going to be chicken, just plain chicken without deep frying it. Deep fried food is highly caloric. The caloric density is very, very high. And that's important to remember. A big part of why we want to reduce the highly refined processed foods is because they're high in calories, they're calorically dense. And you can see on my page, there's a video that's called Caloric Density. It really breaks down what this is all about. I took a plate of broccoli, which was a mound of broccoli, and it worked out to about 250 calories. And I put it beside a Snickers bar, which is about 250 calories as well too. And the difference between the two is just, it's so fascinating to see. It's literally a huge stacked plate of raw broccoli compared to one little tiny chocolate bar. So this is a good kind of experiment to look at, because you can see the amount of food that you would need to eat with the broccoli or the whole food compared to the highly processed foods. That broccoli has much more volume, and it keeps you feeling fuller for a lot longer. And here's an interesting statistic. Most people eat the same weight in food every day. So most people eat between 3 to 4 pounds of food every day. And that's consistent with most people. So when you look at it that way, you can eat a pound of broccoli or an eighth of a pound of a chocolate bar, which is going to fill you up more. And if you're eating these calorically dense, ultra-processed foods, you're much more likely to be over-consuming calories. You're eating way too many calories just because there's so many calories packed in that highly processed foods. They're calorically dense foods, and you want to try and avoid that as best you can. Do you do intermittent fasting? Yes, I do. I do intermittent fasting, and I do it every day that I do my tests. So all the tests that you see are done after a 16-hour fast on an empty stomach. So I make sure that I'm doing that. Just because the food that you eat prior to testing your blood sugar, let's say I wake up, I have a meal, and I wait 3 hours, and then I do a blood sugar test with something like I do on my page. It's not going to be accurate, because the food that is in my digestive system is going to affect the outcome of the test. So that's why I do all my tests on an empty stomach. But intermittent fasting is a great way. There are a lot of benefits to fasting with regard to autophagy and things like that. But also it's a great way to limit your caloric intake as well too. If you're only eating in a small window of time during the day, it's much more difficult to overeat in that short window than it is if you're eating over an 18-hour period and you're snacking all the time. So intermittent fasting can have many benefits. Oatmeal can spike blood sugar. Yes, indeed, it sure can. There's two camps on carbohydrates and low carbohydrate diets with regard to blood sugar management and type 2 diabetes and all that stuff. Some people say go low carb all the way. Some people say you can eat high carbohydrates like oatmeals and stuff like that as long as they're whole foods. I say if they are whole foods and you can stick with it, you can do that. But pay attention to the quantity that you're eating. An entire bowl of oatmeal, and if you're going to have the oatmeal, it's best to have the steel cut oatmeal. It's lower on the glycemic index. But still, if you have that and you're eating a large quantity of that, that serving size has a big factor on the blood sugar spike that you're going to get. So if you are going to eat those foods and you are sensitive to carbohydrates, go slow on them. Don't have too much in one sitting. And try to balance that meal out with proteins, fats, and additional fibers from other vegetables or fruits or things like that. So that's important to remember. The quantity of carbohydrates that you eat is probably the most significant factor here. Can you reverse prediabetes? Yes, you can. And I know people that have reversed their type 2 diabetes. And there's some controversy with this. A lot of people, doctors and things like that, say it's entirely genetic. There's nothing that you can do if you have type 2 diabetes. It's inevitable. But I've seen so many people and have heard from so many people who have been able to reverse their type 2 diabetes, get off the medications entirely. They've reduced their A1Cs from the high 9s to back down to 5s, mid 5s, just by changing their lifestyle. And when you look at our food environment now, you begin to realize that all of this highly processed foods is increasing prediabetes and diabetes year after year. And you look at all the countries that have adopted this highly processed food, fast food diet, they all start to increase their metabolic syndrome, their type 2 diabetes. All of these conditions increase year after year in the countries that have adopted these highly processed carbohydrate foods. It's pretty much common sense. And when you see the people that have type 2 diabetes go to their doctor, they get, now Ozempic is a big one. They go on metformin, they go on all these type 2 diabetes medications, and they maintain their regular lifestyle, what they've been doing in the past. Chances are that their condition will continue to evolve and get worse, and they will need to increase their medications, and or once those dosages get maxed out, they'll have to include more medications. And of course, once those fail, it's downhill from there, and you get a lot of issues, amputations, blindness, kidney problems, neuropathy. There's all kinds of issues that happen with chronically elevated blood sugar levels. And so, but alternatively to that, the people that are able to do something, the people who are able to get their diet under control and to start being a little more active, they can see significant results. They can actually reverse the type 2 diabetes in most cases that I've seen. And to do that, you have to cut back on that highly refined processed food and increase your whole food consumption. Increase your protein with every meal, 30 to 40 grams of protein, and also high fiber. Those two elements are key to getting your blood sugar under control. Okay, let's see what else we have. Hey, from Waterloo. I actually grew up in Waterloo, Ontario. Favorite low carb snacks? I like nuts, like walnuts, peanuts, anything like that. Those are good. I find them satiating. I also do apples. I'll do an apple and I'll try to have like a hard-boiled egg with it. So I'm adding the protein with that whole food that it is high in carbohydrates, an apple, but it's also high in fiber. So I get the fiber and I get the protein. It's not a chocolate bar. It's not the same. But if you want a snack, it's going to be good on your blood sugar and it's going to give you a sustained level of energy for quite a while. Stuff like that really helps. Nuts, eggs, hard-boiled eggs, cheese, stuff like that. Fat is good as well too, in moderation. You don't want to overdo it on the fat because fat is high in calories as well too. And then there's the saturated fat story. There's two camps with that too. Some people say that saturated fat that you ingest is not the problem. But whatever you do, stick with whole foods and try to minimize or reduce those highly processed, refined carbohydrates. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Why does exercise spike your blood sugars? This is a good question. When I first got my CGM, I went and I did some activity and my blood sugar was spiking because your liver releases carbohydrates into your system to fuel your body. Even if you work out on an empty stomach with a fasting blood sugar level, you go out and you do intense activity, your body says, I need energy. The stored carbohydrates in your liver is let out to fuel your body, and that's why you can get a blood sugar spike when you do that. But it's good for you. That exercise is still very good for you, and the residual effect from that exercise has a positive impact on your metabolic health. So don't limit exercise because your blood sugar is spiking. That's a mistake. You want to let that happen. because your body is using it as well too. Your body is using that. Coffee with skim milk in the morning, is it okay? Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's the quantity of the carbohydrates that if you're going to put like a couple of teaspoons of milk in your coffee, it's not going to have much of an effect on you. If you're having it like a latte, you might spike your blood sugar depending on your metabolic health. If you're type 2 diabetic, there's a lot of factors involved with that. But generally speaking, you won't be having the quantity that you would need to really significantly spike your blood sugar. Some people will spike just from caffeine and black coffee as well too. So if you are concerned about any of those things, monitoring your blood sugar is a really good way, even if you do it for a short amount of time. Even if you're just doing, like I got this glucose monitor, I thought I was going to try it for a month. I got it for a month when I first got it. And the information that I got from it was so valuable. I said, I'm just going to keep doing this. And of course, I started the channels. And right now, I really love seeing what the food does to me. Top 3 tips you can give. Like I said earlier in the live here, there are 5 ways that you can manage your blood sugar. Only 5, really. First one is your diet. Increase the amount of whole foods in your diet, especially your proteins and your high fiber foods, and bring down or start to minimize, reduce the highly refined carbohydrates. That's kind of a no-brainer. But the rule of thumb is for all of the diets that work, whether it's vegan or low carb or anything like that, the common denominator with all of those diets is whole foods versus highly processed foods. There's no diet out there that is effective for blood sugar management that says increase your highly refined processed foods, especially carbohydrates. That is not the way. Whole foods is the way. That's the first one. The second way you can improve your blood sugar levels is through exercise. Cardiovascular, going for a walk. It doesn't have to be zone 4 cardio or high pace cardio. It can be zone 2 cardio. A walk after you eat is really good for managing your blood sugar. Or just staying active. Doing chores, doing house chores, housework after you eat is much better than sitting in front of the TV after you've had a big meal. So movement and exercise is a great way to manage your blood sugar. Also weight training to build more muscle. Muscle soaks up glucose from your bloodstream. The more muscle you have, the more muscle you can take away out of your bloodstream and into that muscle fiber and keep your blood sugar levels in check. The next thing is sleep. Getting enough sleep has a significant impact on your hormones, and insulin and your blood sugar are affected by that. So having 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night is really a great way to do that as well too. This is the one thing that I'm really working on. I, for whatever reason, developed insomnia about 8 months or 9 months ago. I'm only getting about 4, sometimes 3.5 to 5 hours a night, and it's just not enough. So I'm really working on that. But improving your sleep quality can really help to manage your blood sugar. Stress management is another one. If you're chronically stressed, it can play a big part with elevated blood sugar levels throughout the day. So managing your stress is an important tool as well. And then there's also supplements and medications you can get from your doctor. As far as supplements go, the best bang for your buck is apple cider vinegar. You can get apple cider vinegar, any one. It doesn't matter, excuse me, which one, as long as it has the acetic acid in it, and most of the vinegars do. But what this does is it slows down the movement of food from your stomach into your small intestine, and it does a number of other things. It helps with the uptake of the glucose into your muscles as well too. Increases your insulin sensitivity. And this bottle rather, is about $6 at Costco. You take 1 tablespoon of this in a large glass of water before you have your meal, and this can help to reduce a blood sugar spike by as much as 30%. This really works, and it's the cheapest supplement that you can get on the market. It also has other benefits for weight loss and things like that, but it's a really good one. The downside with it, excuse me, is that acetic acid can affect your teeth, the enamel on your teeth. It can erode the enamel on your teeth. That's why you want to mix it with a glass of water before you drink it. It can also be hard on your esophagus as well too. For me as well, I don't like the taste. I don't like drinking a glass of this before I have a meal. It's not a really great appetizer. So if you're interested in getting gummies don't work. I've tried many of the gummies. They can actually elevate your blood sugar. They simply don't have enough acetic acid in them to do the job, because it's that acetic acid that's actually doing it. So I have my own supplement line, which has added 750 milligrams of acetic acid, and that will bring down the blood sugar spike. 3 of these capsules is equal to 1 tablespoon of this. So if you don't like taking this before you eat, you can take 3 capsules of this. If you're interested in this, go to getgratitudehealth.com. The brand is called Gratitude Health. If you go to getgratitudehealth.com, you can order it there. Excuse me. Also, berberine is one of the best blood sugar management products out there right now. There's a lot of research behind it, and people are able to reduce their blood sugar over the long haul. This is more, the apple cider vinegar is more of a short-term fix for helping to reduce blood sugar spikes with every meal. And the dihydroberberine is a metabolite of berberine. The problem with a lot of berberine on the market is the standard berberine is it can really irritate your stomach. It's it's not as bioavailable as it could be. So this company has what's called glucovantage, which is a dihydroberberine. It's a metabolite of berberine. And for ease of conversation, what that means is kind of a pre-digested form of berberine that enters into your bloodstream a lot easier. It's 5 times more bioavailable than a standard berberine is. So you only need 1/5 of the dose. So it really eliminates the stomach upset. Some people get nausea, bloating, gas, and diarrhea from regular berberine. If you've had that problem in the past, try the dihydroberberine, because it can really help. And the effects of it are great as well too. It also helps with weight loss as well too. Those 2 things are available on the website getgratitudehealth.com if you're interested in those. But berberine and apple cider vinegar, those are the 2 probably most researched blood sugar management products available out in the world at the moment. So those are good. Yeah, those are the 5 things how you can manage blood sugar. Let's go over them again. Food, exercise, sleep, stress and stress management, and supplements and drugs from your doctor. So with that, let's see. Are there any questions? Dr. Bogosh from CTV is talking about a cure pill for diabetes. Scam or real? I haven't seen it, but I mean, to cure diabetes is if that might be new for me. I haven't seen that one yet. I'll investigate it, but I haven't seen anything that is a cure. Most companies don't make cure products. They make treatment products because there's more money in treating a chronic disease than there is in curing it. But I have not seen that. I'll look at that. Which alcohol to drink? Which alcohol is better? If you are going to drink, stick to obviously low sugar drinks. There's a lot of, like, if you go to get cocktails, a lot of them are loaded with sugar. If you're going to drink, stick to spirits like tequila, whiskey, vodka. Have with soda and some lime or lemon or something like that. The moment you start start adding sugars to these, of course, that's the culprit, right? When you start eating that, drinking that stuff, that's going to spike your blood sugar. But the spirits are good. If you're going to do wine, try to go with the dry wines. The difference between a dry wine and a sweet wine is significant with regard to the sugar content. So you want to look at that sugar content. Beer is also higher in sugar than, the spirits are. What do you think of I just lost it. Poppy or Ollie Pop? I'm going to be testing them soon. Mother, is it important? I assume that, Thomas, that you're talking about mother in the apple cider vinegar. Yes and no. It's not significant when it comes to reducing your blood sugar spike. What is doing that? What's doing the work with blood sugar spikes to reduce those is the acetic acid in most vinegars. So that's the mother, which is in this one and in most of the apple cider vinegars that you get. It has a positive effect on your microbiome, and there are some benefits to that. So when you do include the mother with it's adding to it, but it's not really doing much for your blood sugar management. That's the acetic acid that's helping to curb that blood sugar spike. I had headaches with berberine and inositol. Is there any helping with that? With any supplement or medication that you take, just because they're effective for other people doesn't mean they're going to be effective for you, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have adverse reactions to them. Sometimes when you start a medication or a supplement, it takes a little while for your body to get used to it. There's changes in your microbiome going on. There's changes with your biochemistry as well happening too. And that might take you a little while to get used to that. So start out at lower doses if you have issues with any supplements that you're taking. Of course, you should always talk with your doctor before starting supplements, especially if you have a pre-existing condition and or you're taking medications. Always want to talk to your doctor to make sure there's no issues with taking new supplements. But if you have problems, if you're sensitive to certain supplements, start off at a lower dose and see how you respond, and then increase that dose to the recommended dose and see how you work with that. But the dihydroberberine that we have, again, is 5 times more bioavailable than standard berberine. So you're taking 150 milligrams, which is equivalent to 750 milligrams of standard berberine. So the side effects of this are much lower, and you still get the benefits from it. So start low if you are sensitive. Okay, so many questions here. Is it good to take vinegar 3 times a day? Some people can, some people can't. Some people get stomach upset from it. I take it once a day, and I only take it if I'm having a high carbohydrate meal. Otherwise, I don't take it, and I use it as needed. Oops, sorry. How much apple cider vinegar should I be having to help with blood sugar spikes? So if you're going to take the liquid apple cider vinegar, you take a tablespoon and you put it in a glass of water. If you're going to take the Gratitude Health capsules, excuse me, it's about 3 a day. You take 3 before the meal, just before the meal. What does berberine do? Berberine helps with your blood sugar management, and it also has positive effects on your cardiovascular health. It can also help with weight loss as well too, and it's a very well researched supplement that is gaining a lot of traction, especially the dihydroberberine now, because of its bioavailability, is really gaining traction right now. that's on the rise. And this particular brand, Glucovantage, is the one I've tested. So because I'm a social media guy and I've got 3.9 million followers now, companies are constantly sending me products that they want me to try and endorse them. So I literally have like buckets of supplements that companies send me to test. Usually get a couple a week, 2 or 3 a week. And I test them out. I don't endorse most of them because most of them don't work. But so during that process of over a year of testing a lot of these different products over the year, I realized that it really is about the ingredients in these supplements, and the ingredients are key. So after trying all these different supplements, I went direct to the manufacturers and I looked at the ones that had the best research behind them. And there's a handful of them with regard to berberine. I had them send me their product to test. And of course, they were all really very willing to do that because of my social media presence. And out of all of them, the one that's called Glucovantage out of Los Angeles is the best company with regard to the dihydroberberine that I've tested. It had the most effect on my blood sugar spike, and it was the easiest on my stomach as well too. And that's the one we use in our formula. So if you guys are interested in the berberine or the apple cider vinegar, go to getgratitudehealth.com and check that out there. You can also see the tests, the video tests that I did on both of those products there. Guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here today. My voice is breaking up because I'm still getting over this cold. Can you take too much berberine? Yes, you can. You don't want to overdo it because the effective dosage, once you go beyond that, is not the benefits you get going over that effective dose are not necessarily worth the excess that you're taking. So I recommend if you're taking a standard berberine not to go over 1,500 milligrams. If you're taking this dihydroberberine, you can take 300 milligrams a day, which is the recommended dose here. And in this one, we've also included Gymnema as well too, which has been around for a long time to help reduce your A1C, blood sugar levels as well too. These both have great long-term effects. So the combination of this dihydroberberine and the Gymnema sylvester here are really, really good for blood sugar management. If you're interested, go to getgratitudehealth.com. You can also go to the link on my page and you'll see the links there as well too. Okay. How do you feel about cauliflower crust pizza? I think it's a little bit better. I've done a test on it. For me, it worked well. But again, it's the quantity of the food that you eat and the quantity of those carbohydrates that you have in any one sitting. What does apple cider vinegar do again? When you take it before a meal, it helps to minimize a blood sugar spike. It can bring down a blood sugar spike by as much as 30%. There's acetic acid in apple cider vinegar that helps your stomach, or that helps you by slowing down the digestion process, meaning that this food does not leave your stomach as quickly as it normally would. And by slowing the movement down, it slows down the uptake of the sugar into your bloodstream. And it also helps with insulin sensitivity as well too. So how often do you drink water with apple cider vinegar? I don't do it so much anymore because it bothers my teeth and I don't like the taste of it. So that's why I do the apple cider vinegar capsules here from getgratitudehealth.com. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm getting a sore throat from this cold that I have. Thank you all for watching and all of the great comments that everybody leaves. It's so refreshing, and that's really what keeps me going is the comments. And I'm on this journey with you guys. I'm trying to better my health as I'm getting older. And the good news is that once you start doing this, you can start to feel better. It's never too late to start improving your health. I'm 52 now. I feel better now than I did when I was in my early and mid 40s and late 40s because I started on this journey. So here's the 5 things you can do again to manage your blood sugar before I go. Food, reduce your highly refined carbohydrates, highly processed foods, increase your whole foods, especially proteins and fibers. The second thing you can do is exercise. Try walking after you eat. Don't sit on the couch after you eat a big meal. Go for a walk, do some housework. Cardiovascular and weight training are very good for blood sugar management. The third thing you can do is sleep properly. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. This is something I'm really working on because I don't get that much. The fourth thing you can do is to manage stress. High stress or chronic stress can elevate your cortisol, and it can have an effect on the rest of your biochemistry as well too. Insulin is one of those hormones that it has an effect on as well. And getting your stress under control can really help your blood sugar as well too. And lastly, either prescription drugs from your doctor or supplementation, apple cider vinegar or dihydroberberine. These two right here. If you're interested in the ones I have made here, it's go to getgratitudehealth.com. All right, guys. Thank you again. Thank you all for watching all of my videos, and stay healthy. We'll see you again very soon.